because that's what we're talking about. We never left.
You've always been here.
Yeah.
In the car.
Oh, by the way, Boston, I fucking adored your response to me asking about Pacific Drive in the Discord, where I was like, is anybody else playing this? And you're like, yeah, me. And it's like, I can't fucking talk to you about it.
I thought you were just like, hey, man, I'm trying to do this mission and I'm stuck. I thought that was going to be. I wasn't expecting you to be like, hey, I'm going to DM you about how this game blows ass.
Is that prequel for what your opinion is, or not?
That's my opinion so far. You want a spoiler about our game club?
Oh, interesting.
I'm only about halfway through, so we'll see.
That is my favorite thing, is listening to you guys and the rest of the show, is when you have a turd of a game and you're trying to be positive about it.
Trying to polish it.
There is nothing here.
I think the one we had the hardest time for on that is Tokyo 42, which is just like, there's
fucking
nothing.
Lake, dude. Lake.
Oh, Lake was a stinker.
What, though? I played Lake after you guys talking about how much you disliked it, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, it drives slow. I don't really have an issue with that.
I think none of us were in the mood for that game and its shenanigans when we played it. Like, it's not a terrible game. It's just like, I need this game to do something.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, I've seen these cars drive faster on the highway than this game.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah. What the fuck did I play this week?
I was just about to ask if you were ready to go, but...
I was going to say, I've got a pretty thin list, but...
Me too. Boston is the one who's got the heavy lifting to do this week.
That's right.
I was say, I didn't actually start playing games until yesterday.
Damn.
Well, even my Tuesday night, I had to push back to Wednesday because I had to cancel that because I was so busy, and then I felt really bad because I wanted to play. So I was like, "Hey, is there another day you can play?" And they were like, "Wednesday night." I'm like, "Fine, I will make Wednesday night happen."
Hey, stop trying to make Wednesday happen.
That's right.
I'm not. Just this one time.
That's a quote from a movie that I barely remember. Okay, I think I literally have 2 games. I think.
All right,
cool.
I don't think I fucking. I didn't pull up my app because I need to see. Because the only other things I've been playing is games that we have shows for.
Oh, sure. All right, are you guys ready?
Yep. Yeah, he's ready. Just go.
Anyways, all right. Starting in.
Hold on.
Nope, you had your chance.
Did I talk about Loop Hero? Like,
yes.
Did I talk about that last week?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
I've got finishing Loop Hero.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck that game. Yes, I'm ready.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello, Xbox Series X. I mean,
that's another show. That's another show. And the Nymph.
Hello.
Put a quick plug in here for a brand new episode of Picking Up the Pixels. RPG Love is out in the feed right now. You can get that. It's still in the TVGP feed here, so if you want to hear Musim and I dive deep into some RPGs and hear about that, we'll come up with a little bit of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth talk. We talk a lot about Fallout 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, and we talk a lot about Destiny 2 and some hopefully cool stuff that's coming up, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
You guys didn't talk about Fallout Tactics?
No, we did not. Or 76. we missed a couple in our small history of Fallout section. Let's put another plug in here for patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
$5 a month tier is the recommended tier. That's not per week or per episode. That is per month. That's why I call it Fun for $5. It's a great deal.
You call it that because I made you call it that.
That is fair. Wanted to make a quick mention here about the Outcast. It's the Patreon exclusive, uncensored. We're talking about the non-video game stuff that's going on in our lives. That's at the $2 and higher tier. Wanted to make mention that we just finished recording that. As usual, record that before we go live with this. And turns out we had about 75 topics to talk about this week, like trying some new pop, late-stage capitalism, doing a TVGP production meeting. We even talked about a Lilac Festival. We talked about, hey, how good are hot dogs? How's
Very
about
good.
that? Yeah.
What
They got
would
that.
you do for a hot dog?
That's right. How far would you go for to save a hot dog? So let's all of that and more.
Is saving eating? Because if saving's eating,
Yes.
I've got a different answers to that question.
Yeah, I mean, we'll dive into that in another outcast. So get that over there. You get early access to We Rogue Like It and Critical Misses. You get exclusive access to the Wayward Sons, which is a supernatural TV show watchcast that Moon and the Nymph are currently watching, traveling across the country in their car, aka podcasting. You can get that.
Yes.
All of that and more, patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are the numbers, not the words.
Moon, what have you been playing this past week?
Nothing. Well, I mean, like literally two things. Join us for Game Club. Pacific Drive is our Game Club game this month. I have a feeling it is might be a heated episode.
We'll see.
We will see how that goes.
Got 2 more weeks on that one if anyone wants to join us on that one.
Yes, we record that late because I have plans one of those Saturdays.
Plans.
Oh no, I forgot about that plan. Oh no, where are my weekends going?
Plans within plans.
Anyway, don't because
Don't you quote Dune to me.
That was delivered. I could watch that.
That's right.
Like I can watch an entire day disappear just by putting those 2 movies in.
All right.
And it would be worth it, I tell you.
I mean, whatever helps you sleep at night.
Nothing. That's the problem, dude. Anyway, yeah. I'll leave the multiplayer game to last because I know that Nymph can talk about that too. The only other thing I've really played is Lies of P. I keep writing Lies of Pi. It's Lies of P. Lies of P, not Pi. I am at the most disappointing point in that video game right now, which is to say, I am right near the end, and I'm at the.
Gonna say, are you doing it again?
And I am at the. Oh, it's a castle. Oh, it's an old masonry and things like that. AKA the most disappointing part of that game, because the rest of the game, which is all like cool towns and villages and like theaters and stuff like that, is great. And then you get to the end of the game and it's the Dark Souls castle, and it's just like, I've had enough of Dark Souls castles. You could have done anything else other than the Dark Souls castle.
Right.
Which is to say, I'm working my way through the Dark Souls castle for the second time. I am about to go up against, well, I have to work my way through the castle, but I should be able to do that in no time flat based on how quickly I'm progressing at the moment. My next boss Nymph is the Lightning Knight.
Nice.
So I'm not looking forward to that fight.
Have you had any issues so far with any of the other bosses? Or are they pretty much how you remember fighting them the first time?
As I remember fighting them the first time, they're just a lot easier the second time around, with a few exceptions. And of course, to make my life really annoying, the exceptions are the quick ones.
Yeah.
So the second time you face the Black Rabbit Brotherhood, that was a nightmare because you get all 4 of them at once, essentially. That was not easy or fun. That took me too many attempts to do. The mini boss, which is the lady who's in that room at the top, she's not even like, she doesn't get an intro sequence, but she's the one with the thing on her head and she like clones herself.
Oh yeah, the one that you climb up the ladder to get to.
Yeah, that one was not fun because she's also super quick and does so much damage this time around. So I'm so happy that I learned about the perfect grindstone, which sounds like a Monster Hunter thing if I ever heard it. So in the game, part of the things you can do is you have like grindstones, which have they can imbue your weapon with an elemental effect, kind of like the the herbs and plants that you used to rub on your sword in the Dark Souls games, and they give it like a special effect. This is like a grindstone does the same thing, except it's like, oh, this is lightning, this is fire, this is acid, essentially. Your basic grindstone is one that just repairs your weapons, but about halfway through the game, you get a little nodule that attaches to it, which gives you different effects. So if you want the lightning one, you can just add that onto your regular grindstone, and that will give you the lightning effect, but it only has limited uses. So one, when you get it, essentially, is what you can do. Okay. As you get further in the game, you can unlock more grindstones that have different effects. And you can call me a coward, you can call me bad at video games.
No, you use the perfect parry one, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, no, it's in the game. Screw anybody that hates on it.
Yeah. So what that does, Boston, is you use it, and then for a set amount of time, I think it's like 24 seconds with my current perks. Anytime you block, even if you hold block, you do a perfect block. So it does the
that's cool.
The same thing it would do is if you timed it perfectly to do a parry, essentially.
Gotcha. And
now I have an upgrade to that thing, so I can use that stone twice before needing to go back to a Stargazer and refresh its uses, essentially.
You want to hear a slightly embarrassing story?
Sure.
I thought those grindstones were very finite because I never picked up more than one of them, so I never used them in my first run through until someone's like, "Those are unlimited," and I'm like, "Oh my god, come on!" So yeah, I could have saved myself a lot of hurt if I had used them.
They don't do a good job of explaining that or the cubes. How the cubes ones are finite. You have to buy more if you use the cube. I have been using the cube quite frequently on my second playthrough because there's a cube wish granting thing that when your Spectre dies, it comes back to life with a limited amount of health. So when you summon at a boss portal, the thing that comes in with you is a Spectre, and when it dies, it goes away, and then the boss just focuses on you. If you can get like 5 seconds in the middle of that boss fight, you can use the cube, and then when your Spectre dies, he just gets a health buff, essentially.
That's the thing that's
super useful
about using the cube is that you're
it's
kind of
so
open, for a long time. So
it's like he's solving the puzzle box from Hellraiser, Boston. Like he just like this cube floats open, cracks open, does a little effect thing, and then closes. And the entire time you're literally just like, "Hey guys, I'm holding the cube.
Right?
Help!"
Yeah, the revive one was the only one that I found to be really useful because there is one that you can use to heal the Spectre.
It doesn't do it,
but it does like the smallest amount of health, and it's like, why is this even in the game?
It heals 10%. It's like that's not gonna help. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. But I'm at 100 level 184, I think now.
Cool.
Which is. It's good news and bad news. The bad news is I'm starting to hit the soft caps on the levels, so
they're not really doing anything.
Yeah, instead of getting like 2 points in like 5 different stats, I'm getting 1 point in 3, and it's just like, guys, come on. I only need to play through it like one more time after this as well, please. Please. I don't know. As you can tell from the fact that over the past 2 weeks, I've gone from the start of this game to the final dungeon of the game.
Right.
The second playthrough is considerably faster than the first one. I think I clocked myself at like 39, 40 hours when I beat it originally. Maybe like 42, 43. I think I'm up to like 56, 55 or something like that now.
Just
so
moving.
It's gone from a 40-hour game to a 9-hour game, essentially. I mean, it's also the difference when you actually have experience with everything, you know? I don't know. I like the way this feels. I like the way it plays. I started to experiment even more with like the disassembling and the assembling of the weapons. And so I relied on my first playthrough on the long range ones, like the spear handles essentially with like different heads attached to them for whatever effect I needed. And for giggles, I decided to put my flame dagger on a sword handle. So instead of having a full-size sword, I've got this tiny little dagger handle, this little dagger head on the handle of a sword.
Mm-hmm.
But the sword specifically is the dancer's sword, so it doesn't have a lot of range, but it has a lot of quick attacks. So all I'm doing now is running up on fools and then just doing like a 4 or 5 hit combo. And because it's a fire dagger, it sets people on fire.
Ooh.
And then before you know it, everything's done. And I'm like, cool.
All right.
It works like a charm on so many different enemies. Yeah, I like this game. This game is fun. This game is shockingly good. I'm this close to my full gamer score on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why I'm doing this. Like, for the record, for those of you who aren't aware, I'm literally playing it again because more achievements are to be had. But also because it's been a long time since I've had a good, hard 1,000 point gamer score game, like, on my list.
Right.
Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you sit there, oh, well, he's only got 1,000 gamer score in the easy games. Like, no. Go check out my Dead Space 1 and 2
Yeah, there's some feathers in that cap. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you go get 1,000 points on Eternal Sonata and tell me it's easy. I dare you.
Right.
I double dog dare you.
Straight up time suck on that game.
Luckily, I did that while I was in college, so a lot more time on my hands at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lies of P is great and fun and stupid and amazing. You all should go play it if you like Souls-likes. The only other game I've got is Lethal Company.
Mm.
And I have some good news and bad news in this scenario.
Did we fully break it?
No, the good news is we played the game. There was an issue with one of the mods, but someone else created a mod to fix the issue with that mod, so we downloaded another mod to fix that mod. The bad news I have for all people who are interested in playing this with me is I just added about 20 more mods onto the list.
We were actually talking about quite a few of them too while we were playing.
Yes. So I added a bunch more variable mods. Because I can and because I have a problem, I feel like we're all relatively used to the mobs. We're all relatively used to exactly what happened. I said mob, not mod, for the record at that point. We know who we're facing and what to do and how to survive the situation. And I feel like the purpose of Lethal Company is to punish you.
Right.
It's a roguelike, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So I downloaded like 4 or 5 monster packs to give us brand new monsters that do different things that we've never seen before.
I'm concerned about the word packs in there. It's not just like 4 or 5 monsters.
One of them said like 4 new monsters. So,
oh boy, that's a lot of monsters.
Let's go. I guess let's figure out what these things do.
And boy, did we find out.
Yeah, someone ran into the robot for the first time, which was hilarious. Hey, Boston! Imagine the Iron Giant if he was bad.
Oh no!
Yeah.
And with missile pods.
Oh yeah, that moment where he gets activated by the army, like that's who you're dealing with essentially.
Oh goodness!
We didn't make it to one of the mansion levels, so we didn't see the butler. I hear things about the butler, but I've not seen him personally yet. But I got 4 new interiors, 2 new moons. Let's just throw everything we can at this thing.
Yeah, there's the SCP moon that we went to.
Yes, we finally got that. So here's a fun fact for you, Nimp. That mod for that facility has been we've been running that for months, and I've never seen it show up. And then it randomly shows up yesterday. Not yesterday, Friday. So yeah, Boston, it's the SCP facility. And
the entire time, I'm just like, don't touch anything.
You tell your side, and then I'll tell you what I run into.
We get into the door, and we see, it's different, but not wholly different. It's just, concrete walls and everything. And then I see, the SCP logo on one of the doors. And that's when Moon tells us, oh, hey, this is what it is now. And I'm like, oh, no, we don't need to do this right now.
No, please.
And I'm like, just don't touch anything. Don't mess with anything. Let's just grab crap and get out. And then I think it was with Rob. We opened a door. We got lost, because of course we do. and we open a door, and there is a toy soldier full size on the other side of the door, and we both just like shut the door and we're like, nope. And we turn around and start running, which got us lost even more. Then he was still looking for just scrap, and I was just kind of checking out the area to try to remember where we were at. And I looked down this long stretch of hallway, and it's dark, and I see eyes. And all of a sudden, I see it start running at me. I'm like, oh no, F this. And I go bolting, and Rob's like, what? And he starts following me. And it's like, just wherever.
Just get out of here, man.
Else but right here is better.
That's how you can tell he's played before, because when someone runs away, you follow suit. It doesn't matter if you see it. It doesn't matter if you hear it. If someone's running away, you follow.
He never saw it. We ended up going back down that hallway, and he didn't see anything else afterwards. But when we were looking around again, he heard giggling. Oh, no. I didn't hear anything. So, yeah.
You know what that means, don't you, Boston? The giggling.
Uh-huh.
So
it's not great. It's not great at all.
We managed to get out of that one alive, and I can't remember if that was when
I think didn't.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Not a lot of people made it out.
Did I? I can't remember if I did or didn't. So
there were so many times we all died.
Yeah, we had a great run last time. This time was horrifically poor. So when we get into the SCP facility, I'm like, cool, this is what it is. I'm going to go up the left. So it's a dead wall in front of you with two staircases, one going up on the right, one going up on the left. They lead to the same place, but they arch right and left, essentially. I go left, and nobody else goes with me. Nobody.
And I don't think we had radios either yet.
No, we didn't, because we'd all just wiped like the round before.
Yeah.
So I'm going left. Everybody else goes right. And we're playing with what, 5, 6 people at this point? I think it was 6. No, Torek had Torek joined us yet?
I don't know if he joined us yet.
Before Torek joined us.
Yeah.
So 5 people, and I go left, and 4 people go to the right. It's like,
to be fair,
okay.
I hadn't seen or heard from any. Like, I was the last one in there. I hadn't seen or heard from anybody in a while, so I had no clue where I was going.
When you get in, if you look up, you can see where like the staircases end, and they like arch to the right. So I was at the top, just like yelling down at people, like, "Hey, this is the SCP facility. Have fun, bye!" And then I went and ran and got some scrap. I started throwing it all off the edge, because if you stand on the railings and just drop them, you can drop them right to the front door, essentially. So I figured, cool. I'm not going to run up and down the stairs. I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
So I did that, dropped a whole bunch of stuff at the front door. And then I went the other direction. I was like, look, I'm by myself. I don't like it when I'm by myself, because then the creepy music starts where it's like, and it knows you're by yourself, so it hits that music. Speaking of mods, I did get an immersive sound patch, by the way. So expect even more creepy music. So I went the other way to find out where these 4 people had gone, and I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. But then I randomly, after like long corridors, I find a couple of control rooms, nothing in there, and then I find like a little offshoot to the side, and I hear Justin and Ash having a conversation, like just through the walls, as you do in Lethal Company. So I go into the room, and as I go into the room, there is this, for those of you who've seen it, the fly contraption in this room. There's a pod, a human-sized pod, a control panel in the middle. The one on the left says insert, and the one on the right says extract.
Oh boy.
So as I walk into the room, they're having a conversation about what to do with this machine. So Justin goes into the insert pod.
Naturally.
Ashley hits the button.
Naturally.
And then I'm sitting there, I was like, what? I literally say out loud, what did I just walk into?
Right.
And as I do that, a flashlight and a walkie-talkie drop onto the floor from the middle of this like mechanism. And I'm like, so Justin's dead because he's just dropped all of his stuff on the floor.
The Chrono Trigger intro gone wrong here.
Yeah. So as I'm standing there looking, I pan to the right and look at the extract pod as it opens, and Justin, wearing one of the tragedy or comedy masks, comes out doing the hands raised thing, about to try and get me.
Incredible. No notes.
So I immediately have to do a U-turn, and I'm running and screaming as fast as I can down this huge corridor. And as I get really close to the front entrance, I hear Rob at the foot of the stairs, like, and he's just like, "Oh, there's a bunch of stuff at the front door." I was like, "Grab it, leave!"
And you're like crying and screaming, "Run,
go!"
So that's what we hear, because we were both there, because we were trying to figure out, okay, this is like a big thing. We were swapping out inventory to try to grab as much as we could, and then we hear Moon just panicking, and we're like, screw it, we grab a bunch of stuff and go out the door. Yeah, I was like, I don't know what's happening, but we just bolted for the shit.
Yeah, and this was when we were on Rend, I think. So we're following the lights in the snowstorm.
Oh god!
Back to the ship, and as we're getting back to the ship, those two were in the ship having a conversation, and Rob starts teleporting people back to the ship.
Rob, no!
And this is like,
I literally yelled, "Don't teleport them! Like, they're dead. Don't teleport them.
They're evil now."
All they heard was the they're dead part, because suddenly we have two masked people of Ash and Justin in the ship masking people.
Well, no, because they rushed Moon, because all we heard was, "Don't teleport," and then he was dead. And I turn around, and there's masked people standing there. I'm like, oh, F and S. And I turn around, and we hit the switch, and the only thing that saved Rob and I was the ship started moving, and since they're considered enemies, they started falling back. Like, they don't stick with the ship when it starts to move.
Oh, they, like, fall off the ship?
Yeah, so I'm standing on top of the console trying to get as far away from them as possible, and they're slowly starting to drift towards the back of the ship before they fall off. And that was the only thing that saved us that round.
Jeez. It was rough, dude.
Yeah.
But again, I think unabashedly, we'll all say we had a rough run that run. Like, we did. We went from being in a position of ultimate power where we started the day with like $1,000 in the bank, and the ship was like blitzed to the nines in blink, and then 3 runs later we're all dead. We've got 1 day and we've got to get $600. Like, it went rough.
Yeah.
But it was still stupid fun. It was still enjoyable. It was still a laugh and a giggle the whole time. And then Torek noticed us playing it because I forgot to post in the LFG, and sent us a message like, "Yo, you got any space?" Like, "Yep."
Nice.
I got 32 other spaces for you to fill out. So yeah, we got plenty of space for this. And you know what? With even more people, it's even more chaotic and dumb and stupid in the best way.
And I'm wondering if we didn't start breaking the game at some point, because there was a moment we were all back. Well, some of us were back on the ship. We were split. 2 of us were on the ship, and I think everybody else was working their way back to the ship, or were back in the facility.
Yeah.
And somebody brought a dog with them. It chased them onto the ship, killed all of us that were on there. And then I think it was you, Ash, and Justin, maybe, or maybe Torek, who were still in the facility. You guys were heading out of the facility, and then everyone died.
The ship just left.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened to the ship at that point, so I don't know if somebody pressed the button to try and escape by accident or whatever the case may be, and we just got left behind.
Because all I know is I turned around and there was just a giant mouth, and then I was dead, and I was like, well, that's cool. At least everything's on the ship.
Yeah, it could have been something just as simple as like a panic lever, like, oh, dog's on the ship, hit the lever, and then we all get left behind. But I mean, it is what it is. Like,
yeah, it was fun.
Like, I think one of the things is like because they just had a major patch in the game, all of the mods need to be updated essentially to work correctly in full functionality with the new version. So I mean, the new patch came out like a week or 2 ago. So I guarantee these people aren't making a living making the mods. So I'm just going to give them time to just update their stuff and go. Because the one that was causing issues was the one that let you load additional levels. And then
because we couldn't get back to the company's planet.
Go back to the company planet, dude. Like,
a little important.
Every time we hit that, it was just like, no. Go to any other planet you want, not that one.
Oh, wow.
So I did a quick Google and like literally was like, okay, just download this other mod. This is the fixer for that mod. So we downloaded that one, and then it worked fine.
Nice.
But it was fun having so many people on because, like you were saying, it's like you hear people talk on the other side of the wall. And because a lot of the times we didn't have radios, you will hear somebody in the distance shouting, "Hey, where are you? Keep talking so I can find
That's
you."
right.
And then you hear the reply of, "No, don't come this way."
Yeah. I know. If somebody wasn't playing co-op, I'm just saying we could have had a full 9 stack, and then things would have gotten really interesting.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I don't even know how we'd all fit on the ship. There was like so many of us crammed in there.
Right.
That's why the suit mods are so important, so we can all differentiate between each other. Because
we need to find a mod for a bigger ship.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there isn't one, or if there is, I'm surprised. I might look and see if we can find one. Turn it into a puddle jumper or something.
But turn it into like the Enterprise bridge or something.
I mean, I love Lethal Company. It is dumb on so many different levels, and it's just fun. Like, and the fact that like it's such a yeah, it might be a 15-minute flame or whatever. It might be like a flavor of the month 5 months after I started playing it, and I'm still playing it.
Right.
But the fact that it hit that popularity meant that all of a sudden lots of people were interested in throwing mods onto it, which means that we can slowly but surely change how we play, the way we play it. I already have one of the mods favorited for when the Bilsiford time happens again. Because I have a mod just for him. Just for him. I'm not going to install it unless he's around, but I 100% have a mod designed for Bilsiford. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to wait and see.
That's right.
But then there's just like all kinds of fun, dumb circumstances that happen. Like one time when Justin and I were running back to the ship, he was in front of me and I could slowly hear in the background giant footsteps. And so I was like, all right, keep running. We were like fully loaded. Like our stamina was just draining. And after a while, like I just couldn't run. So I was just telling Justin, just keep going. All right. This thing, whatever this is, it's going to grab me. There's nothing I can do about it. Just make it to the ship. And he said the most disconcerting thing was listening to me go, "Oh, he grabbed me," and then just start maniacally laughing and then get cut off.
Oh, man.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in playing it with us, send me a message. I can happily send you out codes, which is it's so easy. It's so quick to do. And you can more than well, like I got 32 slots. I'm just saying. Every community member get on in here. Let's have a 32-man Lethal Company run.
That's right. True chaos.
We strip that thing dry and bare every single time we can. And at that point, ain't nobody going to tell me off for my Costco shopping. I swear.
That's right.
At that point, everyone's going to be grateful for the 56 light flashlights that we have.
That's right.
We were only making fun of you because you had bought so much crap.
It's the way I do it. If it goes on sale, I buy it. That's just the way it is.
Load it up.
Anyway, that's all I've been playing. Nip, take it away.
All right, this week I also have not played a whole lot, but so real quick, I did check out Vampire Survivors because the new Operation Guns DLC dropped this week.
Yeah, the Contra DLC.
Yep, at a blistering $2.79 or whatever it was. So I picked that up on Xbox. I only played one of the new level, It's the where are we at? Neo Galaga, whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I didn't play Contra a whole lot as a kid, enough to know everything.
Right.
But so far, I've unlocked Bill Rizzer, the Probotector, and Colonel Bahamut.
Great.
Whoever
They're very
those
Contra
people
names.
are.
I love it.
Yeah. The new map is cool. There's like, if you looking down on it, on the left side, it's kind of like an open field with a few buildings that you can kind of pop in and pop out of. Then there's like a bridge that runs through the middle and connects you to the right side, which seems to be like inside a massive facility.
Okay.
It was cool. There's one area I can't figure out how to get to that had a new weapon or support item in it. It was just south of the bridge. and I just couldn't figure out how to get into that spot to grab that item. And the only thing that I have to say about this map is when you have everything maxed out and you can't see the map anymore because you have so much stuff going off, it makes it very difficult to navigate in between all the buildings and stuff on the right-hand side of the map. Because some of them you can go into, some of them you can't, and you can't just walk through them like the enemies can, which is another kind of bum deal.
Right.
But so once you get to that point, it's kind of difficult to navigate. But outside of that, I mean, it was interesting. I got homing missiles, which is one of the new weapons that you get. And when you upgrade that, it turns into, I forget the actual name, but they're still homing missiles, but just before they hit, they split. So then you get like multiple missiles coming out at once. And when you've got that thing maxed out and you're like level 408, I think I was, like there is just so many missiles flying everywhere and blowing things up. So it's just more Vampire Survivor. I still have to go through. Apparently they added a bunch more to the Among Us stuff too, because there's way more characters that I haven't unlocked that weren't there beforehand.
I wonder if they unlocked the there were a bunch of secret ones. There's like 11 characters or something in the Among Us DLC. And I think some of them, Vampire Survivors does that thing where it's like, oh, you have 2 of them and you do something, and it's like, here's 3 more, and you do something else, and here's 2 more. I wonder if they just unlocked those all by default.
I wonder because before I finished playing last time, like I had there was nothing in the secrets or the unlock tab. So, but now when I go there, I've got like 100 and some odd things now to unlock.
Jeez.
So
there was also another free patch that they put out that had another character and something else. It's hard to tell because like in between these quote unquote big DLC packs that are all $2.50, sometimes they'll put out like a free piece of DLC, like a patch that
like an extra map and an extra character.
Yeah, like 2 weapons and 1 character and 1 map or something. So like it's kind of hard to tell where, like which bucket or which patch these things fall into.
Yeah. But yeah, it's still a lot of fun. I just all of a sudden have a ton more to do in it now. One of the other items that you get with this DLC that you find on the map, there's like a cabinet that you can grab which will let you choose a new support item, like any of them that you haven't already grabbed. So that's cool. As well as there's like a metal box, like a metal chest or something that you can grab, and it will randomly increase 1 weapon by +1. And I'm not talking like stat wise. I'm talking like it's doing like if you do the whip, how you have that maxed out and you've got like the left and right whip, it will unlock another whip. Oh,
like another projectile essentially?
Yeah.
Wow.
So and I found like 2 or 3 of those on the map randomly, so it gets real crazy. No slowdowns either, as you can tell by the screen that's playing. Yeah, it's keeping up pace really well, but it's just so difficult to see what you're doing once you get to a certain point. Next game that I played Helldivers 2. Briefly will fit in here. Last week we talked about how Sony was requiring PSN accounts for PC players. After we got done recording, Sony came out at like 11:59 that night saying, okay, yeah, we're not doing that for Helldivers anymore, but we're doing it for other
loud
games.
And clear. What was the quote they had? We've heard your feedback on Helldivers 2 account linking update, May 6 update, which would have required Steam and PSN account linking for new players and current players beginning May 30 will not be moving forward, end quote.
Yep. This is only for Helldivers 2. We talked about it a little bit on pre-show. Ghost of Tsushima was another game that people were worried about, and Sucker Punch had already come out and said that for the single player of the game, you do not need an account. But if you want to play the multiplayer part of that game, you do need an account.
Right.
So how this is going to turn out in the future, who knows?
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to assume that this is going to be required here on out for PlayStation games.
I think that's a safe
now.
assumption. Yeah.
Yeah. But whatever. But so I've been doing my dailies on this. The new banner dropped this week. The cold, the cold start stuff where you look like a snow trooper running around. So that's cool. There's some interesting weapons that got added. I don't listen to a lot of what the community says about these weapons because everyone's still trying to min-max the game if they're making a video about it.
It's
so
not the strongest weapon of all time, so it's garbage.
Exactly. I guess there's a new assault weapon that unlocked, and there's already people complaining about how like this is worse than the original assault weapon that you get with the game. Yep. Yeah. So just whatever, just play with what feels good.
Just shoot the bugs, or shoot the robots. Just shoot. Come on.
For me, if I'm fighting bugs, I use the spray and pray incinerator version. If I'm doing the automatons, I use the Liberator, which is the little thing that shoots like a tiny rocket and does like medium armor, like it pierces medium armor, and it's like a DMR. So I just sit there one-shotting fools, you know.
Right.
That's what I do. I have been going back and forth. I don't use the shield generator as much, the personal one. I've been going back to the guard dog one with the laser.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm starting to find like there's nothing wrong with the shield generator, but when I am playing on like the higher difficulties, I'm starting to find that the shield generator has you last longer, but sometimes just having
shoot through immediately.
Yeah, but sometimes just having the extra firepower can help you.
Right.
So it doesn't help you get surrounded by all the mobs. But again, just however you want to play it. Yeah. Like if you want to go in there just using all air support and no support weapons, whatever. If you're having fun, just knock it out.
Yeah.
So, Helldivers 2, still a great time. My next game, Remnant. The Subject DLC, 2923. We finally beat that.
Yes.
This was the thing that I was talking about in pre-show as well, that Tuesday I was super busy, couldn't play Tuesday, but I really wanted to play Remnant. So I reached out to Farror and was basically like, hey, do you have another day this week that we can play? She was like, yeah, I have Wednesday night. I'm like, I will make Wednesday night work. And so we go back into the DLC. I won't get into the whole big story beats, but we had one more area to go through, and I think we had like 2 more bosses and then the final boss, and then we completed the DLC. And this is where you get a pretty big introduction to Clementine, who has absolutely nothing to do with the first Remnant outside of this DLC. But I started Remnant 2 a while ago, and they make Clementine seem like she's been there since the start and make a really big deal of her. And I know a lot of people were like, who is this person?
Sorry, did I miss somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she is only tied to this one DLC. So if you haven't played that DLC, that's why everyone's like, who is this woman? I don't understand why she's so important. Yep.
Right.
So you didn't miss anything. There wasn't some weird story beat or anything. It was just that was the last DLC that came out.
Right.
So we are looking at starting Remnant 2 at some point. In my wanting to play more Remnant, I jumped into a couple random games with people over the weekend, and I got what is it called, the Lados armor, which is basically a giant suit of armor that you can put on.
Okay.
And I brought it all the way up to level 19, and it makes my character extremely heavy. And what that means is I don't roll anymore. When I go to dodge, my character just belly flops like
it's
a foot away.
Such a good animation, man. Just like, and it's just like arms out like wee and just plop.
Yeah, and you can hear the impact. So that makes dodge pretty much useless. However, my armor score right now is like 480.
Yeah.
So I can take a beating. I just can't dodge for anything.
Yeah, that's so much fun.
But I was pretty much just going around just helping people out. I was gaining more trait points so I can max out a couple more things just because I really love that system. And it's just stupid. But yeah, that's it for Remnant. We beat it. We're ready for 2. I'm excited to start playing 2. I think I might re-roll a new character.
Yeah.
but since you guys played it doing co-op, is it like the first one where we have to get to a certain point to initiate co-op, or can you do co-op right off the bat?
I'm trying to remember. There is like a short tutorial thing. I think essentially once you get to the kind of hub city, and then you do, I think, like one mission in there, I think that's when you can do co-op. But I think the game is much, if I remember correctly, the game is much more explicit this time, saying like, now you can do online stuff, or like do this to do the online stuff. It's a much shorter kind of intro period than the first game.
Yeah, it was like, 'cause I remember the co-op, or I'm sorry, the tutorial in the second game. You had somebody with you in game,
right?
That
you're
doing
like,
the
intro
tutorial
portion,
with. Yeah, and then you get to the city part, and that's where I assumed the co-op started.
Yeah,
but...
I think it doesn't right away, but it's like as soon as you're right there, it's like one more thing, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so we'll have to knock that out so we can start doing something. But I started out as a summoner. And that's so that you get the little guard dog and stuff.
That's the second class I picked with the dog.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to stick with that or if I'm going to check out the other classes. Because there's what, 6 now?
Yeah, but you, at some point, pretty early on, you pick your second class. So you run 2 classes
You can mix
and
match.
Yeah. Well, no, you're running them at once. So
okay.
You get all the skills from both at the same time. So, and
that's cool.
I don't know if you can switch. I would have to look if you can switch once you start, but I liked that system a lot more because it's not like I picked my one class and then I'm that for the entire time. Like, I'm playing as the healer class, just like the first one, and I have the dog as well with me, so I have this kind of cool like support build going on, so which is really cool.
With the first game too, like picking the class only mattered for like the first like 5-10 hours of the game before like everyone started getting the same mods and the same traits, and then after a while you're just kind of whatever you want to be, which is kind of why I really enjoy that game. So I still wish you could remove the mods from boss weapons.
Sure.
I understand that they are there to complement the weapon, but I am really stuck on having the healing circle and skulls to summon.
Understandable.
My God, did those skulls put in the work?
Right.
So yeah, Remnant, fun game. Can't wait to start playing the second game. My last game, which is also going to be real quick, is Stellar Blade. I am on the second dungeon thing, kind of. They basically tell you that, hey, you have to get like these 4 items, these hypercells, to help power Zion. And as you continue to add these hypercells, it'll give Oracle the ability to scan and attach to more of the network that's throughout the planet, so that way you can find this one Nativa that you really want to take on, which I'm pretty sure is the one that was at the start of the game. So you have to... It's kind of like the whole Legend of Zelda thing. It's like, complete these 4 dungeons, and then you can go fight Ganondorf, you know?
Right,
so
exactly.
That's kind of what I'm working through right now. I'm on the second one. The first one that I did kind of did an interesting and kind of crappy thing of they don't let you use your sword in it, so you could only use your gun. And in the leading up to that point, the gun is not that great. Like, it's great to get attention, it's great to use to like help supplement damage at range, but it is not something that you're going 1-to-1 against things with. And luckily for this dungeon, they kind of fine-tune it so that the character, or at least the enemies, feel a little weaker. Like, I was taking things out in 1 or 2 shots, depending on how I was hitting them. So they at least adjust it for that, because that was going to be a slog if it was handling the way it was previously. Fighting the boss was interesting because of this as well. It kept dumping ammo, that way you don't run out. So it would throw like these trash mobs at you to take out. That would explode. Then you get more ammo and you just keep fighting. So that was interesting. The next dungeon that I'm in, there isn't any restrictions except for that you don't have a map. Which is fine because all of the dungeons are pretty linear. So I'm just going forward. And there's some elevation changes here and there where you're climbing stuff and you're checking things out. And, oh, hey, I came around this corner and there's a chest at a whole new costume kind of thing. But nothing hugely elaborate, which is completely fine with me right now. I'm enjoying being on the straight and narrow inside the dungeons. I did open up my first open world area, which is the Wasteland.
Oh.
And there is a ton of stuff to do in there, and there's a ton of side quests that you can just pick up and start doing while you're out in the world. And they're not anything like you're not like out there picking up like 12 pieces of junk and bringing it back kind of thing. It's a lot of, hey, find this body or fight this enemy, or I did leave something out in the waste because I had to run away, and then you fight a boss and then you grab it and you come back.
Oh, okay.
The best thing about it is that every time you complete a mission out in the Wasteland, you are given the option right then and there. Do you want to teleport back to this person or to the bulletin board to turn this in?
Oh, that's cool.
So you don't have to, and there's enough fast travel points throughout the game too, or throughout the area, that it's like, no, I don't want to. It's not like you're stuck out in the waste for an hour until you get back to Zion or till you get to a next checkpoint with a fast travel. They're spread all over the place. So you're not running, you're not wasting a bunch of time trying to go back and forth.
Right.
So that's pretty nice. But I will say this game has a ton of costumes in it so far. I had read originally that the whole reason that you get like all these costumes for Eve is because the story was supposed to be that she really enjoys old Earth styles.
Okay.
And so that's why you keep unlocking all these costumes. But apparently they pulled that out of the game, so now you're just getting all these costumes just because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to unlock costumes too. Like, it's fun to see that stuff.
It's cool to check it out. I've unlocked 13 of them so far for free.
Nice.
There's 11. There's 11. They call them face decorations. That so far they've just been glasses and sunglasses, like all kinds of different styles.
Oh, okay.
There's where are we at? 8 different earrings that I've unlocked in this game. There's also like all these hairstyles that you can unlock for the character. There's all these different colors that you can add to the hairstyle. In the options menu, there is an option to either give her a long ponytail, which goes like down to her ankles, or a short ponytail, which is like just below her shoulder blades. Okay. So if you really want to play with like the hair options, you can make her hair short or long. So there's
that's fun.
All kinds. Yeah, there's all kinds of interesting stuff that you can do with the character. I've unlocked a bunch of clothes. I unlocked a teddy bear costume, and this isn't like a sexy teddy bear costume. This is like full on mascot, like big head, kind of thing. Right. And it is the dumbest thing to see this serious cutscene play, and you are in this teddy bear costume.
Right. That's so good.
So it's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm 22 hours into the game so far, according to the console, and I'm maybe halfway through it. A lot of people were saying if you just dead run it, it's like 19 hours.
That's still pretty long.
Yeah, but I'm just enjoying exploring, and there's just a lot of dumb stuff that I'm finding. I randomly found a prayer book or a prayer verse in this game, and once I've unlocked that unlocked a whole brand new tab in the like document section that wasn't there before. And when I picked that up, all of a sudden there's a new bar in the top right that started filling that I had never seen before, and it disappeared. And I've only seen this bar pop up one other time when I discovered something else.
Weird.
So, and I can't find. There's no indication in the menus of what that bar was or anything. So now I'm trying to figure out what I'm 35% into with this character. And I don't want to look anything up on it either. Like it's just been. Exactly. The only thing I've ever looked up is when I get into, like, there was one side mission that I was trying to do where it tells you to go to this container and open it. And I go to the container and it won't let me open it because it says I need a password. And it's all X'd out, which means that I don't have the ability to even find that password right now.
Oh, okay.
So I pulled up a guide and I'm like, am I missing another quest or did I screw something up? And no, it's just... You just have to keep playing the game, and eventually you'll unlock another quest, which then will allow you to do this thing.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't tell you that
Yeah,
at
it doesn't
all.
tell
It's
you,
just,
like, come back later. We might know more
yeah.
then.
So I was like, all right, cool. I guess I'll come back later. One last thing. If anyone goes to pick up this game, I highly recommend unlocking the ambush ability as soon as you can, because there are a bunch of big things in this game that you don't have to fight if you run up behind them and they don't notice you. You hit triangle and it's a one-hit kill.
Ooh, nice.
So I highly recommend unlocking the ambush thing, because that has saved me so many times from having to refight dumb things after I've done dumb things.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, still plucking along, kind of taking my sweet time with it, because this is one of those games. The encampments are spaced out, I would say, evenly. Like, as soon as you start to feel, man, I really need to kind of save, there's usually an encampment of some sort around the corner. And one of the nice things about it too is you could even look there. They, in the open world, they have the fast travel telephones. Even if you just go up and interact with that phone and don't fast travel, it'll save your game right then and there, because you interacted with that system.
Oh.
So you can interact with any part of the encampment that's not the rest, that resets everything. If you don't want to reset everything, but you need to save, go look at the store, or go look at the SP thing or the 3D printer, and it'll automatically save because you've interacted with that. And that way you can leave and then come back without having to rest and then resetting all the enemies, and you have to refight everything.
That's nice.
For the dungeons, it's not a big issue, because, like I said, they're all linear, so you're just going straight. So if you find an encampment, unless you haven't taken damage or used any items, there's really not a reason to not rest. So, but it's just been fun and stupid. Like, just don't take this game seriously.
Yeah, just have a good time.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I love it. It's definitely up there for me right now.
Nice.
It might. Some of these bosses have been hard enough, and my timing has had to have been on peak. And I'm like, I might be able to go back to Sekiro after this.
Oh, all right.
And then promptly get my face kicked in.
That's right.
But it's giving me a little bit of hope.
Right.
But that's all I've been playing this week.
All right. This is the week where, like, 20 incredible indie games came out on May 9th of this week for seemingly some reason. So let's get some of the non-cool, well, these are all cool indie games, but let me get some of the non-new ones here out of the way. Played more Balatro. Sort of playing a little bit less of this, because, like, I'm playing stuff for We Were Like It. I'm playing stuff for Game Club. You know, I'm playing some of these other games. The patch hasn't hit consoles yet, so I'm sort of waiting for that to to happen before I, you know, dive deeper into it. I have unlocked all of the Jokers at this point, so I'm at 150 out of 150. I just need to buy the last two of them. I haven't run across them.
Who's the Joker, Boston? Is it the Joker or the Joker who unlocks all of the Jokers?
That's right. Who Joker's the Joker? So I'm. Those are the last two things I need to complete the collection completely. So I'm kind of excited to do that. The last two Jokers I unlocked seem actually pretty strong. So I really like. Unlike, you know, I've had this complaint about The Binding of Isaac forever, of just like, you did something super hard and here's a baby for multiplayer. It's like, thanks, that's not, no thank you. Everything you're unlocking for doing the harder stuff in the game genuinely gives you 9 times out of 10 it's giving you a really strong Joker, and the one time that it doesn't seem like it's strong, you eventually pick it up and you kind of craft a run around it, and you're like, oh, okay, no, that's actually really strong. Okay, so I really appreciate this game doing that, of just, hey, you did a hard thing, here's a cool reward, instead of just be like, yeah, good job, whoopity-doo. So I appreciate that. Next up, played more Rusty's Retirement. That's that idle robot farming game talked about last week. This week I've been focusing on, so there is a system where eventually you build kind of enough other buildings on your farm, and one of them is a place that will let you upgrade your other robots you can build. So like a lot of automation, like this one waters, this one plants, this one picks stuff and puts it into a silo and stuff like that. They were fine. It's like, oh, this one waters crops and it fills it from this little thing, and it does a pretty good job, but it's a little pokey. It's not exactly very speedy. Spent a bunch of time this week upgrading those. They're really great when you fully upgrade them. There's like now you have, for the one watering robot thing, you have 3 robots that are coming out, and they are cooking, and they hold a ton of water now. Like nice. The robots that pick crops for you, now they can carry 3 or 4, so they're kind of just, they go into the field, they grab a whole bunch of stuff, and they bring it back all at once instead of just doing one at a time. So I've been quote unquote playing this a lot. You know, I don't want to use like sneer quotes about it, but
you've been managing.
Yeah, I've been gently guiding Rusty and the farm.
I've been delegating the work to my robot employee.
Yeah, so still, it's really great. I still really recommend it. It's only like, I bought the like supporters pack thing, and that in the game was $10 altogether. So it just runs on the bottom of my other monitor while I'm doing stuff, usually editing these shows. So if you want to know while I'm doing what I'm editing, Rusty's hard at work.
His wife only lets him out of the room to use the bathroom.
That's right. Yep. Well, sometimes, you know.
Well, late stage capitalism, that sounds like retirement to me.
That's right. That's right. All right, so let's move into I bought like 4 or 5 indie games this past week. And I haven't gotten a chance to play all of them because, you know, time and all that. Let's start
person.
Exactly. Let's start off with Little Kitty Big City. It's available on Switch and Xbox. It's part of Game Pass currently. This is I think last week I likened it to Untitled Goose Game. It's that same kind of like, here's a small area and you have a overall objective to accomplish at the beginning, which is you're a cat, you're taking a nap on a windowsill at the beginning, you fall down to the city. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter wondering like, hey, can the cat get hurt in this game? The answer is no. The developer just actually wrote the other day of just like, the worst thing that happens is the cat gets scared by a dog that barks at it, and the cat like does the Halloween cat thing and like jumps up. You know, it's like literally the worst thing that can happen to this cat. So a lot of it is like you need to find your way how to get back home to your apartment at the top of this apartment complex, and then it just kind of turns you loose in the city.
I'm so excited to play this.
Yeah, it's.
I have it downloaded. My Saturday just vanished, so otherwise I would have played it then.
Yeah,
I have it downloaded too for my kids, and I was going to check it out, but
it's so far it's been really good. I think I've played about an hour and a half or so. I think the first thing that you notice is it gets the animations down pretty perfectly for a cat. They have that kind of like liquid property that cats have of just like, I don't have bones all of a sudden. I just like slinking around. And well, you gonna say something? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I was just sitting here enjoying the video you got playing.
Yeah, and like a lot of it is
just reminds me of Goose Game. Like it just genuinely does.
Yeah, I that's the thing that I've been kind of enjoying, of just like, it's encouraging you to just kind of poke your way around the environment. Like you see these flower pots at the beginning and you run into them and you knock them over, and it's like, yeah, knock over 10 of them and you have an achievement. Like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you just kind of try this stuff?
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of it at the beginning is like, this crow tells you that he can make you stronger, but you need to go get a bunch of shiny stuff for the crow, and they'll give you a fish, which increases your strength. So you're capturing like coins and springs and shiny things around town that the crow might like, and after that gives you a fish, and you can suddenly climb up ivy walls. And a lot of it is just really the kind of the charming stuff. The writing is pretty solid. I have the same problem I have in a lot of these games, which is like there's the writing is good. There's just like a little bit too much of it. I wish it was like a little bit more succinct so I can focus on either like keep in mind that since this is a more family friendly game that maybe kids are playing it, so like let's focus on the attention span maybe, or just like I want to get back to the cat mischief. Like I don't need to have multiple dialogue boxes for one character when I'm just trying to talk to him. So but I think I said like an hour and a half or 2 hours. I am like more than halfway through this game. It's really not going to be anything that's super duper long. And I'm okay with that because a lot of what I'm having fun with is just kind of like poking around this town and being a cat and running into, like, I have a duckling following me now because I'm trying to find a bunch of ducklings for this duck that lost all the ducklings. It's just like, all right, I found a duckling. It's going to help me the other ones follow me. So let's wander around the town. Let's pounce on some birds to get their feathers to do some fast travel upgrades. So far I'm really enjoying it. Kind of like the positive and the negative of it is there's not a lot to talk about it. A lot of it is just kind of you're just a cat wandering around town and getting upgrades for, like, you run into cats around town and they're like doing a big stretch, so you get the big stretch upgrade. You hold Y and you pick big stretch and the cat does a stretch, and that's literally it. Like you pick up the cleaning their face upgrade, and now they're doing that. So it's a lot of like it's very, very light lifting. It's very fun. It's very just kind of be a cat in a city sort of thing. So unlocking a bunch of cute hats, of course.
I did see that in the video, yeah, the promotional video. According to How Long to Beat, this game is only 3 hours long.
That sounds
100%
about right.
it's about 6.5 hours, roughly.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And once you get a map, they do the good thing of like the fish are really your kind of focal upgrade in this game, and they just map all of them on the map immediately. It's like, yeah, here's all the other ones. Like you're looking for the fast travel kind of sewer grates. Here they are. Whatever, man. Like,
I'm down for a 3-hour Blue Sky game.
Yeah. Yep. And it's super cool that, like, the main character cat is super cute. It's animated really, really well. Like, all the animals have a lot of character to them, but the main cat kind of it seems like they spent the majority of their time focusing on that, and I think it really works. It feels like a cat, which I think is a pretty cool achievement. Next game here, polar opposite, Cryptmaster. This is a black and white first-person dungeon crawling typing game with a incredibly well voice acted the Cryptmaster itself, who's kind of bothering you and hassling you throughout the entire game. So this is PC only because pretty much everything you're doing in this game is typing based. The game starts out with the Cryptmaster saying, like, hey, I have a chest here. Can you guess what's inside? You can give me some verbs to help you figure out what might be in here. And he starts off saying, like, well, it's like a human skull, but it's shiny. And you can say, like, okay, what happens when you touch it? And you just type in touch and hit enter. And it says, like, well, it's kind of cold and still metal, I guess. That's sort of what it is. You say, like, well, what if you taste it? And they're like, I do not want to do that. Thank you very much. And they're like, what if you look at it? And I was like, I already did that. Stop wasting my time. And eventually you find out that, oh, it's a helmet. And at that point, because you figured out the clue, then you can get a new skill for one of your party members. And to use your skills for your party members, you just type out that skill when you're fighting an enemy. So the kind of one you start out with from your party members here is boot. So it's just kick somebody with your foot, and that gets you largely through some of your first couple fights. The part where I ended up with here in the tutorial section is I'm kind of running into everything and hitting a boot, and that works pretty well until you run into enemies with shields. And the first one I ran into had a shield with a letter B on it, and it says any spell or skill that has the letter B in it won't work because it's going to block that. So you have to do like, well, what if I hit, or what if I zap, or what if I kick? Like all of those work, but boot won't work against that party member. So far it's really interesting. I've maybe played half an hour. I don't think I've played the enough to get out of the tutorial. But so far the writing is really good. The voice acting for the Cryptmaster especially is really good. It has this kind of like fun, creepy, kind of dried out voice. I also really appreciate the Cryptmaster devs being on Twitter saying like, y'all have been asking me if this is AI voiced. It's not. It's just like, it's a text parser for everything you're typing, like Sierra games from the 80s. And the rest of it is just, we've recorded a lot of voice lines. Like we recorded a ton of stuff and we just fed that all into the system here. So far seems really neat. The reason why I bought this is because I've been looking at this game 1000 Times Resist. It's like this sci-fi narrative-based indie game that came out this week as well. You'll be shocked to find out another indie game came out this week. And on Steam, there's a bundle with this and that game, so Cryptmaster and the Resist game. And the bundle itself was $12 off, essentially. So it's only like $1 more than the 1000 Times Resist gets you both games. So why the heck not? I'll just get this other cool looking game. And it turns out, hey, Cryptmaster is pretty cool. So far, really, really, really recommend this. Seems really cool. Everybody that's been playing it seems like they're having a great time. It doesn't really seem like an RPG so far, which is interesting, because when I think of first-person dungeon crawlers, I always kind of think of RPGs out of hand. But it seems more like a typing puzzle thing than it is an RPG, which is cool. So that's Cryptmaster. My last game here this week is I'm going to start with the least spoilery things here about Animal Well. If you have heard of Animal Well and you're interested in it, skip the chapter in the podcast and go play it. It's incredible. You should go play it and just try to go into it knowing as little as you can, because the discovery is kind of the fun part. If you haven't heard of Animal Well is a 2D, no combat, puzzle-focused Metroidvania. It's not about fighting, it's not about equipping weapons, it's not about doing anything. If you think of kind of like Fez or the Outer Wilds or the Witness, like that's the kind of thing you're thinking of, which is you're not doing any fighting. Things can hurt you and interact with you, but like you're not equipping your giant greatsword and slashing at them or anything. It really is just, hey, we made a Metroidvania and the encounters are puzzles. And I have been playing nothing but this since it came out, and kind of thinking about nothing but this since it came out. And it's kind of, I was complaining about it on Picking Up the Pixels this week, about like, I just played 2 giant JRPGs back to back. I'm kind of in the mood for something different than that. And this was really the thing I was looking for. And I appreciate someone coming out with, hey, here's a cool Metroidvania that isn't, Hollow Knight levels of difficult combat. You're just gonna solve a bunch of cool puzzles. Like, I'm really looking forward to Silksong. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, I love the idea of having another one of these type of games. Like I said, like with Fez or Outer Wilds or something, where you're not doing a bunch of this other stuff. It really just is puzzle focused. Has a really, really cool style so far. Has kind of like a CRT inspired, almost like 8-bit, kind of in between 8-bit and 16-bit style of just real kind of like not low pixel counts, but that kind of more simplistic style to it. I have completed 2 areas so far. Basically, when you start the game, you see this thing of like, here are the 4 things you need to go collect. And as soon as you get just like Little Kitty Big City, once you get the map, it just shows you where all 4 of them are on the map. It's just like, all right, go figure out where they are, go try and find out where they are and go collect them. I really want to talk a lot about this game, but so much of like these games is just the discovery of mechanics and items and the puzzles and how they all work. So I don't really want to talk about anything quite yet, because I played probably about 2 or 3 hours and I've completed 2 areas so far. And so much of my enjoyment of Animal Well has been going into a room and being like, okay, well, what do I do in here? Like, how am I going to solve this puzzle? And you kind of play around with the rules and figure out, oh, okay, yeah, all right, that's what we're going to do. And then getting an item out of that sort of unlocks that entire area that you're in, and kind of figuring out that entire area all in one go. So I think if any of that sounds really great to you, this is one of those games that I play where I'm like, even an hour in, I'm like, yeah, this is really high on my top 10 list this year, pretty easily, even at kind of first blush. And I'm playing it on PS5, where it runs super well. I'm hearing a lot of people having
PC as well, isn't it?
It's PC as well. A lot of people are having a good time with it on PC. It's 38 megs on PC, so it's pretty lightweight. I feel like this is one of those games that if you have a Steam Deck, it seems like a really great place to play it. Kind of like curl up on the couch and play a cool puzzle Metroidvania thing. And I honestly, I just really love it. I love getting more of these games that remind me of your first time playing Outer Wilds, your first time playing Fez, and just kind of having that experience of like, yeah, this is a cool puzzle thing that I want to tell everybody that they need to play, but I don't want to spoil anything about it because that's half the fun. But I'll keep talking about Animal Well here in the upcoming weeks here. But if any of those games, or if this experience at all sounds like it's something that's in your wheelhouse, it probably is. It's also on PS Plus, which I didn't realize. I was ready to spend the money, but if you have PS Plus Extra or above, it's on that already. So go check that out. Also solo developed, which I also didn't realize, but that's fantastic. Love seeing a ton of really great, really successful solo developed games coming out recently, which is super great. But that's Animal Well, and I have I think I bought 2 or 3 more indie games to get to here at some point. So maybe one day. All right, but that's all I'm playing this week. Let's take a break. Oh man, stretch it out. Oh yeah. All right, where are my show notes? How long have you been recording? 2 hours? Sure. Why not? I'm going to cut that news story. All right, you guys ready this other segment. We might get to like one of these questions. I'd like to try and get to one of them, but we probably won't get to all three.
Okay.
So I don't want to have us be in here all day, especially on the Day of Mothers.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
What am I?
Ooh. Pop my back. Yeah, there we go.
That's the
okay.
stuff.
Okay. Now, Boston said Day of Mothers, and I had in my head the phrase "the many mothers," and I was like, "Why do I know that phrase?" I know why. I can't say why.
Oh, I see.
It's on Critical Misses.
Ah, okay. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of May 13th, 2024. First up, Homeworld 3 is coming out on PC. 21 years after Homeworld 2. Homeworld 3 coming out. Reminder that Gearbox bought the Homeworld IP. They didn't develop this. They just published it. So,
yeah. I'm going to wait for Rob Zachney to weigh in on this.
If there's a man you want to trust about opinions about a big space RTS, I feel like Rob Zachney is probably the guy. He's over at Remap, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He's over at Remap, and he posted a Blue Sky / X post this week. Was like, I don't know if it's my brand that's broken, talking about himself, or it does not speak well for the game when nobody reached out with codes or information on this game.
I have been seeing that a lot I follow a lot of game journalists on Twitter, and a lot of people are just like, is anyone doing
Does anyone
PR
get anything for this?
about this? Because like I would like to review this, I think, but no one, I can't find anybody, so...
I think Arthur Geese basically responded with, yeah, I speak to people from the studio who made it, and they said, yep, not in our hands.
Wow. Okay. Well, Gearbox.
There's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. So this is cool. I liked Homeworld 1 and 2 a lot when they came out. Those were kind of early games that were really pushing your video card of just like, look at all of these spaceships in space. So I'm curious to see if Homeworld 3 kind of gets to that same level of space bigness. Hopefully, because that was kind of the cool part of like, yeah, I've like 200 ships right now. Let's go attack the enemy. So we'll see. Next game here is one I forgot to pull a trailer up for. Let me open this up real quick, which is called Paladins. It's coming out on PC this week. This is a really cool 1 to 4 player online tabletop RPG, but the campaigns are only an hour long. And if you look at a trailer, it kind of looks like, it takes like a node system, almost like Mario Party, where you're kind of moving from one story point, like one city or activity, to another, as opposed to like starting a character sheet and going across the countryside and stuff like that. So I thought that seemed pretty cool. I like the idea of like, here's a more approachable tabletop RPG that you and your friends can play online, but it's not like, all right, settle in for a 2-year campaign, nothing like that. It's like, yeah, I have an hour to play a week. Maybe we can find something to play that isn't gonna take us the next decade to play. So that looks really cool. That's called Paladins, releasing on PC. Next game here is Please Fix the Road. Comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and Switch. Is already out on PC. Seems like it came out a while ago. This is kind of a cool, like minimalistic, laid-back, single-screen puzzle game where you're repairing a road in front of you for a car to drive down. And that is really about it. I got a good chuckle out of you completing a level, and it just ejects the car off of the road and it explodes, which is really great. That's 2 thumbs up for that. But I like more of these kind of smaller, minimalistic single player. It's like Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go. Like it has that same style to it of just like, hey, here's a single screen. We're gonna do a bit of a puzzle here. Like let's have a little bit of fun with a puzzly thing. And I think we don't have enough of those usually. So that's called Please Fix the Road. Next game here, like we talked about earlier, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. I got that one switched. It's coming out on PC this week. This is getting ported by Nixes, of course, since Sony bought them, but they've done pretty great work historically. This already looked good on PS4 and PS5, and a lot of the PC footage looks really, really good. Like most Sony trailers and accolades and stuff, it's just like, here's all the 4-letter acronym PC video game support, like DLAA and FX something. It's got all that stuff. So seems pretty cool. People really loved this game when it came out. So I mean, if you're looking to play more Sony stuff and you don't have a PS5, seems like they're kind of bringing the best and brightest over.
Yeah.
So go check it out.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
And you can pet foxes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Make a fox friend. Why not? Yeah. Next game here, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, comes out on Switch and PC. If the title didn't tell you, this is an Annapurna published game. This is the team that made Yearwalk and Sayonara Wild Hearts is making this very stylish third-person puzzle game adventure thing. Got a lot of mazes. Got a lot of weird, like, I'm typing in stuff sort of puzzles, like finding keys to put in stuff. I don't know if I can properly explain this game. I did a bunch of looking this morning to try and figure out, like, hey, what is this game? What's the elevator pitch? And it seems like Annapurna's kind of sell of this game is you just need to check it out. It's kind of wild. It's cool. It's a cool thing. It's like, okay, well, but like, what do you do? And it's like, yeah, you'll find out. Don't worry about it. It's like, oh, okay, we're just gonna do that. Cool. So I'll probably pick that up. I guess, why not? It seems like it's in my wheelhouse. Last game here, Read Only Memories Neurodiver comes out PS5, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Seems like those are the platforms, unless the press release was weird. But, you know, there's some stuff going on. If you watch the trailer for this game, they're like, coming out, finally, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. It's just like they're recapping all their trailers where they're like, it's for real coming out this time. Actually, for really real. We played the first Read Only Memories on Game Club a couple of years ago.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and I remember largely liking that. It's kind of a classic point-and-click adventure game where you have a bunch of items on your person and you're clicking and dragging and combining stuff. I liked a lot of that first game, and I'm happy to see that the sequel here is finally coming out and looks pretty cool. And it seems like they're kind of largely sticking to the style and the gameplay of the first one, which is a kind of a narrative focused kind of classic point click adventure game, but kind of modernized. The first one didn't play like a pixel hunt like some of the older ones did. So that seems pretty cool. We'll probably check it out on Game Club in a couple of years if I'm to guess. All right. Talking about news stories here real quick. If you listened to our Outcast earlier, you know how much we're kind of struggling with news stories in general. But all three big platform holders had news stories this week. Already talked about the Sony one and the Helldivers one, about them sort of rolling back their most Sony decision of all time, which I thought was going to be probably the largest news story of the year until Xbox swooped in this week and closed 4 studios. My news story here just says Xbox closes 4 studios, and I don't want to talk about it.
Yep.
You have probably heard this on every YouTube channel and every other podcast you're watching. they closed, which was it?
Tango
GameWorks, Arcane
Tango, yeah.
Austin, and two other studios that I didn't notice the name of, Alpha Dog Studios and Roundhouse Studios. And those two were kind of, it seemed like Alpha Dog was mostly mobile focused, and Roundhouse Studios was helping with development of Redfall, and looks like some of them are going to be absorbed into the Elder Scrolls Online team. So Tango GameWorks just put out Hi-Fi Rush, which is Xbox's sort of large, big success over the last couple of years. And Arcane Austin was lead developer on Redfall. There was a really interesting tweet this week that I saw from one of I don't think it's a studio head at Arcane, but it was somebody higher up. They tweeted basically like, look, everybody wants to say, oh, well, Arcane Austin made Prey and Arcane Lyon made Dishonored, but that's not the case. The two studios worked in tandem, so it's not, oh, we lost the bad studio. Who cares? Because we have the good studio. Like, that's not the case. They both worked on a Dishonored 1 and 2. They both worked on Prey. They both worked on all of this stuff. So you're not, like, quote-unquote losing the bad studio, because number one, it's terrible to say, but number two, that's also not the case. So it is a strikingly frustrating piece of news to see this week. It is.
Can we also phrase it as unfortunately familiar at this point?
Yeah, unfortunately familiar, but also like you can understand from a publisher standpoint, you could understand the frustration about Redfall's performance. Redfall seemed like a game set up to struggle. It's from a immersive sim studio that makes single player games, and Redfall is what it is. But Xbox, I keep doing that. Xbox has said historically, like, we're gonna give them the resources they need because these are good teams. We want to keep them around. Maybe they had a stumble. Maybe Redfall didn't perform like we wanted it to, but doesn't mean they're a bad team. Doesn't mean we're just gonna kick them out the door because they put out a bad game. It's especially frustrating with Tango GameWorks because Hi-Fi Rush is like the Xbox hit from the last couple of years. Like, you finally got a win. Not even Halo Infinite was very well received for the first 2 or so years. And, like, that's finally gotten to a better spot. But, like, you had a win, a surprise launch on Game Pass, on multiple platforms, that everybody loved from a studio that everybody loved. Like, it just knocked it out of the park.
And won awards.
Which is exactly what Matt Booty said the next day of, like, we need smaller teams that are putting out smaller games that are winning awards. It's like, yeah, you just fired them all, dude. Like, I just... It's really frustrating because you have people like Phil Spencer and Matt Booty and Sarah Bond up there saying, like, we're investing in our teams, we're trying to put out quality stuff, we're really investing in Game Pass, we're really investing in the $69 billion investment we made in Bethesda. And then, shuttering the doors on 4 studios that were, at least 2 of them, that were delivering. Redfall is not a great game, but, like, you don't kill an Arcane studio because it delivered one bad game. At this point, anything an Xbox studio delivers is a win because nothing is coming out. Yep. Like, Hi-Fi Rush, the reason that they closed that studio in some anonymous stuff that's been out on Twitter over the last couple of days, because they wanted to do a sequel to Hi-Fi Rush, which would mean they would need to hire some more staff to make it a little bit bigger, kind of make a larger sequel, so they cut them. Like, the astronomically short-sightedness of this stuff. Because, look, I'm not an Xbox fanboy. I try not to be a fanboy of anybody. But, like, the reality of the Xbox ecosystem at the moment is, if it isn't Forza, there really isn't anything coming out.
It's struggling with first-party stuff. Like, their showcase is less than a month away. They better have bangers with release dates that end in 24 or Q1 25.
Right.
But at this point, though, they've lost so much credibility on even the games that they've put out.
Right.
And there's already talk that
you know what? Even better, because if they can drop that stuff, and like if the new Fable comes out in 2024 and it's a banger of a game, great. If the next whatever comes out and in Q1 25 and it's a banger of a game, great. Put up or shut up. Like it's give the teams in the studios the wages and the money and the working like conditions that they need to make the product, and then step the hell away.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem, is that it sounds like Microsoft or Xbox and Microsoft technically aren't doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that there's been a lot of stories recently too that there's been a lot of blowback from Microsoft to the Xbox department saying, "Hey, Game Pass isn't doing great. What's going on?"
Literally, what this is. The problem is Xbox is owned by Microsoft. Microsoft is one of those companies.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked
They're
about
all
the pre-show.
one of those companies. Xbox is one of those companies.
It's the profitability needed is unmanageable.
Right. And it's especially frustrating because you look at the Bethesda purchase, which I said is $69 billion. And then you look at the golden parachute that unfortunately didn't launch Bobby Kotick into the sun, which is $375 million, which could have run studios instead of giving this monster in a skin suit more money to like get the hell out. So like,
God of War 2018. How much money did they think they said that was like $250 million budget they spent on that thing?
Something like that, yeah.
That is a game that took probably 6-7 years to make, a long time, because that was late gen PS4 for a God of War game. That's literally an entire studio to make that quality level of game for that amount of money, working conditions aside, obviously.
Right.
But
it is what it is. It's so frustrating because like it felt like the Xbox group was finally starting to get a little bit of headway. Like Hi-Fi Rush was a really big win for Game Pass. It was a really big win for Xbox. And it just came to Switch and PS5, just like Sea of Thieves did. So like you're starting to see a lot more goodwill and a lot more like, all right, stuff is finally coming out, because through this entire generation, say what you want to say about Sony's first and second party games, that they're all like third person hack and slash story focused, blah, blah, blahs. That's not unfair, but they're coming out. And over on Microsoft's and Xbox side, there's just not a lot. Delays and like stuff like Perfect Dark and Fable that just got announced, and they're like, yeah, I don't know when we're going to release that.
Perfect Dark was announced like 6 years ago. That's the problem.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, they're coming out with games. Like they came out with the Forza Motorsport, which is fine, but it's not going to take the world by storm. Like Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite are good now, but they didn't come out hot out of the gate, which is really what these Xbox studios...
What you need.
Yeah, they need to do, because the perception of Xbox now is like, yeah, you have all this stuff day one on Game Pass, but you're not putting out anything. And Phil Spencer is out here like talking a good game about firing more people. So like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah. Senua Saga better be a banger. Like,
yeah, that comes out next week.
Yeah.
And there's
which nobody seems to know about, because everybody's talking about the other stuff.
The only marketing I saw is because I fired up my Xbox, unfortunately.
It's on the dashboard.
And it's on the dashboard. And like, I haven't seen it on Twitter, and I live on Twitter. I live on Twitter so much I refuse to call it X, because nobody should call it X. Don't do what Elon Musk wants you to do. But like, there's just literally nothing about it. And unfortunately, the sword of Damocles is hanging over Ninja Theory with a game that isn't going to light the world on fire in the first place. Is like a gritty, real game about mental health. But like now, just everybody's looking at them and be like, what's this game going to do? And it's like, I mean, it's not poised to sell 5 million copies over the next year.
Do
that's
you know
for
when
sure.
nothing was released or announced, I should say? Speaking of delays.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
2019.
They got to get stuff under control. Like, it's just...
I mean,
and not just
okay,
them,
like
the whole industry, in general.
does.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, officially, as of right now, Stalker 2 is scheduled to come out September 5th. I haven't seen anything about that game. The only reason I know about it is because I'm vastly interested in it.
Yeah.
The only thing, obviously, that had delays, but for a completely different reason, I think,
Right.
than that's a...
Yeah, the war in Ukraine has taken...
It's an arc into itself.
Yeah, it has understandably hit a lot of studios that operate in that area and just being like, yeah, we got to, like, leave. So like our game's delayed because you know, all this stuff. Yeah, I just it is massively frustrating. I told myself I wasn't gonna like spend this much time talking about it, but I am still really frustrated, and I'm really frustrated that so many people are racing to defend the upper management of Xbox that I've already named when they're in charge of this stuff, and
they're making these decisions.
Right.
They can see all the stuff that we can't.
Right. And there's been a lot of like, there's an interview from Sarah Bond about like, hey, why'd you close the studios? They just don't have an answer. And that sucks. Like you can come and tell me like, hey, we closed Arcane Austin because, you know, we're going to pin the blame on them for Redfall. And I'll be like, okay, that's not fair, but God, at least there's a reason. Yeah, like the rest of it is just like, yeah, we fired the studios that are shipping games, and we're keeping the studios that are seemingly doing nothing.
Hey, Initiative, how's that release schedule going?
Where's Gears 6? Where is Gears of War 6?
I bet you that gets shown at the July event.
Anything!
Like I said, it better have a 24, 25 release date.
Well, the funny thing, we're hearing stories too about the new Fallout show doing so well that Microsoft is scrambling to try to get Bethesda to make something
make a new
to
Fallout
put out.
game.
And it's like, what are they gonna do? They've been working on Elder Scrolls 6 since like 2012.
Oh my
God,
you know? Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest though, if like even if Microsoft didn't own them, if that Fallout show came out and did that number, Bethesda would be like, we need to Fallout now.
Bethesda would be like, oh no, it actually did well. Which we
like
do.
They forgot that this stuff takes time to make. You can't just say, today we are making a game and we're going to release it while everyone is still talking about this TV show.
Even it's like a remaster of Fallout 3 would take a considerable amount of time. Like, it's just...
Give me a New Vegas reel.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, they'll never touch that.
No, they hate that
we don't
game.
Talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, they
you mean
should
Fallout
because they own
Tactics?
Obsidian now.
I know. It's all under the same house, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
good luck, Avowed. I hope you do well. I genuinely do.
But here's the question. Like we talk about with Square Enix all the time, what is a successful game for Xbox? Hi-Fi Rush apparently wasn't it. It wasn't a huge team. It said it was 20 to 30 people, which sadly is not a huge team anymore. It didn't cost a whole ton of money. You had kind of like a smaller scale game that came out of the gate hot and did really well. If that's not a success, like what the hell is? Like what is Square Enix can't figure out a success with like two hands and a flashlight.
No, dude,
but like
nobody can.
They're their own problem.
Don't get me wrong, I give Sony, and arguably rightfully so, crap for the fact that their games are essentially the same template like design.
They're very similar.
I feel like Sony has slipped into the Ubisoft model of this works, let's just remake it and remake it and remake it and
they
remake
have like
it.
their house style essentially, and it's
exactly.
they're kind of
and
sticking
Ubisoft,
to it. They're the reason we have yellow
paint
paint on games to dictate, hey, you can climb this.
Yeah,
hey, I appreciate that.
Yellow
dude.
paint is good. Yellow paint defender right here.
So
100%.
Yeah.
Hey, Eliza P, it's white paint.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bucking the trend.
I don't know, like it's one of those things where it's like I give them crap for it, but at the same time, they're all the same is the problem. Like everyone is the same. Like,
but they're shipping games and not
enough,
closing studios. So like, to me, that's a win. Like, obviously they're closing stuff. They closed Japan studio, which is like still unacceptable. But like, they're putting out stuff and they're not like, hey,
Sony Liverpool says hello, by the way.
Right, but they're not closing Santa Monica studio. It's not like, hey man, Ragnarok did super well. How about you all get on the street? It's like, what?
Yeah.
So, what? Sorry, hold on a second. So, it's.
I know.
Yeah.
I will continue to be frustrated about it. I feel like for a lot of people, I don't know if I'm here at this point, but for a lot of people, that was the final straw for them. It's just like, I'm canceling Game Pass. Like you're gonna have to work incredibly hard to win me back if you ever can, because like, people have been kind of down on Xbox since the Xbox One DRM unveiling, and it's been kind of a slide downhill in a lot of regards since then. But
I will always I'm not going to defend that decision, but it always tickles me, that decision, like the fact that marketing won that generation for Sony, because hey, guess what, Sony had the same thing.
Yeah, and my Xbox One got to there eventually as well. So like they just sort of said like, oh, don't worry about it. We're just gonna. Don't worry about that little guy. And
90% of games that come out are games as a service game, which guess what? Hey, it's the exact same problem.
Yep. So we'll see. We'll see what Xbox does at this point. I think the next couple of weeks are going to be pretty important, but we'll see if they kind of step up here.
That showcase needs to be the literal definition of the word.
Yeah. It needs to be the hottest press conference you have ever seen, of just back-to-back bangers. Like you said, Game Pass day and date coming out either now or in the next couple of months and not slipping at all. And like coming out as great as you can day one. I think that's really the only thing that you need to undeniably flood Game Pass with incredible stuff and say like, yeah, we bought all these studios, but we're still making really great games, and they're coming out. We're delivering on that.
Even if like that, I think that this is the problem that the entire industry has slipped into, is it's either indie or quadruple A. That's it. That's the only
either
thing
it's a solo dev, or it has 400 people and it's an Assassin's Creed game and it's $70 to just barely get in the door.
And guess what?
We like
B
games
have been sucking horribly recently.
Yeah, a lot of like the AAA games are just. That's why I've been so happily picking up and playing all these indie games. It's like, cool, you have 5 people on your team, you have 1 person on your team. It's a $10 game. I'm just gonna scoop it up, man. Let's try it out.
Like that's one of the reasons why like we love B games. Like we always have. We extol the virtues of the lower tier games every single time we can, and like. Microsoft needs to take, in this case, they need to take a page out of Netflix's book. Because it doesn't matter if the game is perfect. Look at Grounded. Grounded was a questionable release when it came in quote-unquote early access. When they finally got that thing out to 1.0, it was a solid game. And they've patched and updated and updated and updated.
They stuck with it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That topped the download charts in Europe the week it went multi-platform. Like it topped the sales.
It was like the hot. It did super. I think it was number 3 in the US too. Like it came out hot, and I think Sea of Thieves was number 1 when it came out on PlayStation. Like these games are just they're good games once you can stick with them.
And I think they need to embrace the fact that not everything needs to be amazing.
Right.
Prey is arguably a B game. Like I love Prey. Prey is one of my favorite games of all time. 2017 is arguably a B, maybe an A tier game. That is a perfect game to put out and put on Game Pass. Redfall is not great, but it is a perfect game to put out on Game Pass as content there for people to jump in and try. At the end of the day, you have to ignore the waves of praise and criticism. You need content. That is what you need if you're trying to be the Netflix of video games.
Well, look at the top game of this year, which is Helldivers 2. This like very small scope. Like, it seems like a really big game, but the amount of stuff that's in there is fairly small. This kind of multiplayer, replayable, seemingly games as a service thing that doesn't have any of the games as a service trappings, the negatives of it, but it has the positives of the banners coming out and all the fun stuff, and you're unlocking all this cool stuff, but it doesn't have its hand out being like, 10 more bucks, 5 more bucks, come on, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any of that stuff, and it's a runaway success. Like, that's the stuff you should be going after.
It was a B-tier game that wasn't meant to be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is arguably what Helldivers 1 was as well.
Yeah.
True.
It was
True.
very much one of those, like, under-the-radar success stories.
Right.
And, again, say what you want about ESO. ESO is arguably one of the most popular MMOs still currently running
like
these
one
days.
of the biggest games on the planet. It's just like nobody talks about it.
Nobody talks about
everybody who's playing is just happily over there playing Elder Scrolls Online, just being like, yep,
like,
I love it here.
It's like Fortnite does the same thing.
Right.
Like, Fortnite is one of those games, like, it is a pop culture phenomenon.
Yep.
But everyone has stopped talking about it at this point. Everyone still plays it.
So you either know about it and you're in on it, or it just doesn't exist to you.
Or you're playing Roblox.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next news story here. Nintendo announces Switch 2 in the most Nintendo way. They sent out a tweet earlier this week that says, "This is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. Side note, I love how all of their tweets just start with, 'This is Shigeru Miyamoto.'" You know, it's just like, "Hi, this is me, sending a missive to you across the sea."
Well, it's a really good way for them to identify who's talking immediately. Ow.
Yeah. We will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024. But please be aware that there'll be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. Emphasis mind.
Good.
End quote. I just like that they're just like...
crystal clear.
Yeah, like crystal clear. All the like anger farming YouTubers are going to ignore that and be like, Switch 2 wasn't shown at the Nintendo. So you can ignore them if they do that. But it's also very Nintendo of them to be like, oh, yeah, the Switch successor. Yeah, we got that. We'll be talking about it soon. Don't worry about it. It does exist, but like, don't worry.
We're getting ahead of the leaks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the picture that you posted of that tweet has 36.1 million views.
Yeah.
So,
and I just captured it this morning. So like, yeah. And Moon mentioned leaks. There have been like, for the last couple of months, there have been more and more firm leaks about it. We seemingly have the final specs of the machine out now, except for clock speeds. I'm not going to talk about them here because, not that I don't care about leaks, it's just
there's better places for it.
Well, and also it's also like those might not be the fun. No one has a Switch 2 in their hand to say, here's the specs. I can play, Tears of the Kingdom in 1080p 60 frames here.
Dude, it better be backwards compatible.
So the two things that have come out lately has been backwards compatibility and Nintendo accounts will be persisting. It's been very fun
for everything.
Very fun to see a lot of people being like, of course Nintendo accounts would persist. And it's like, no.
Oh, you sweet summer children.
Let's talk about the 4 other account types we've been through before that. No, it didn't.
Nintendo's still living early 2000s right now.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of the long and short of the spec leaks is it's a little bit more powerful than the PS4, which the very first reply I saw on Twitter about that was someone was like, "Oh, thank God! I was really worried it was only going to be as powerful as a PS4." And it's like, bro, it's a handheld. That would be incredible. That's like saying, oh, the Steam Deck is like just a computer that's portable. Yeah, that's dope. What is wrong with you? Get off the internet. A portable PS4 would be crazy. Sony's not even doing it. They put the Portal out.
I was going to say, this is the only new console announcement that I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Sony and Microsoft, shut up. you do not need to be releasing a new console right now. You've
No,
barely done anything with the current gen.
Yeah. Well, and the like internet brainworms really took people hold when Sony made mention in an investor call that they're like sunsetting the PS5. That's not what that really means. It just means I'm not making a bajillion PS5s every year because everybody that had to have a PS5 has it. So we pulled back on how many we're making because we have a ton in storage, which is how products go. Like, same thing with the PSVR 2. Not enough people are buying them. We're going to stop making them until people buy the stock we have. And if they don't buy the stock we have, we don't make more and we stop supporting it. Like,
and we start having sales.
Right. We start putting fire in front of that sale. So, like, I agree with you. This, to me, the Switch has been long in the tooth for a really long time, sort of by design, and that's fine. But I like the idea of another Microsoft console coming out. I like the idea of them sticking with this, hopefully, hybrid handheld console docking thing. I hope they kind of stick with that. And to me, if this is a backwards compatible thing, that's a day one purchase for me. Like, easily, of just being able to like fire up Tears of the Kingdom and be like, look at this frame rate, hooray! Like, play a bunch of this old stuff. Like, play. I have no expectations of any of the like virtual console stuff to come over because it's still Nintendo.
I just hope that they're able to flood the market with consoles.
Yeah,
that way we're not fighting with idiots on the internet trying to get a hold of one.
Yeah, I can imagine that like the first couple shipments will probably be pretty light, but hopefully things will even out a little bit more than, you know, COVID supply chain issues switch. But I don't know. I'm keeping a close eye on this because I think this will be pretty cool. And like you said, I appreciate them coming out and just being like, hey man, yeah, it's coming. We have a direct coming up. I'm not talking about it there. If anyone has any concern about Nintendo specifically saying this is the Switch successor direct, that's exactly what they'll say. Like, take a look at the new Switch this coming Thursday at 9 a.m. Like, they're really good about like, this is an indie games direct coming on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Like, it's never like, come and see what we're gonna do. Maybe it'll be a console. Wink. It's always just like, no, you know what's gonna come.
Although, keep an eye on Bowser's back shelf. You never know.
That's true. Doug Bowser, not Bowser the turtle. Yeah.
Not the one who sings Peaches.
That's right.
No,
that's right.
But that would be funny if Jet Black just comes walking. I was like, hey, look what I got.
Oh, look what I got, a new Switch. Rickety-doo.
No, he should sit down and do the presentation as Doug Bowser. Like, he should take his place at his desk.
It's me, Doug Bowser, with his big old beard. That'd be great. No. All right. We do have questions here. My voice is giving out. We've been recording for 2.5 hours of just this episode. We're going to push those to a hopefully lighter news week next week. I
will purposely not play any games this coming week.
There you go. We'll all take a week off. That way we can talk about...
accidentally do it.
That's right. We can all take a week off. That way we'll just talk about Sony closing down all operations next week in that news story. Which, please... I don't have Apollo's power. Please don't make that happen.
You're the one that put it out there.
No, I take it back. I'll fix it in post. It'll be fine.
This is when Microsoft and Sony announced that they're going third party, and the Nintendo console is the only one that exists anymore.
That's right. Google bought Microsoft and Sony and Xbox. God, there's a prediction for you. Anyways, if you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Don't forget to go check us out, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers.
The $5 a month tier is the recommended one, the fun for a $5. That is per month, not per episode, not per week, not per any of that. So go check that out. That gets you everything. Anything above and beyond that really does help. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. Best way to support us, go check out the YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe over there. I know that's a meme that you're sick of hearing about, but that stuff really does genuinely help, especially to feed the algorithm, and like have more people find our stuff. And if you want to see like, hey, what does a Keeper look like? Sorry, Cryptmaster. You know what Crypt Keeper looks like. What do you want to see what Cryptmaster looks like while I'm talking about it? Watch the YouTube version. You can see all the cool gameplay over there. Also, please. One of the biggest things you can do is go rate and review our show on whatever podcatcher you use, if it allows you to rate stuff. That stuff is probably the most impactful you can do, because that directly leads into these platforms recommending this show to people that aren't currently subscribed. So the more of those that are positive, I'll put that out there. If you got a negative review, just email it, tvgpfans@gmail.com. I'll read it, and you could just yell at me.
You can send it to us and we'll laugh.
Yeah, kindly. I still have feelings. But those reviews really do help.
You exist on the internet.
This is episode 864. I'm an empty husk.
I was gonna say,
at this
I
point.
hope if an email makes you cry, you share it with the rest of us so we can write a strongly worded email
That's
back.
True. That's true.
I got no holds on that.
That's right. I think that's it. Please go like, comment, subscribe, review, all of that stuff. That stuff really does help. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We do greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week. Bye.
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 Oh, man. Got to get another good 5-star runtime here. All right, Nimp. What are your titles?
All right. I have Don't Quote Doom to Me, The Perfect Grindstone, Who Joker's the Joker, and But Boot Won't Work.
Hold on, I gotta write down Who Joker's the Jokers. All right, Moon, what do you have?
You'll find that's Who Joker's the Joker. It's plural first, singular second. Thank you.
Did I say plural singular?
I think you said plural singular.
I'll cross out. Okay.
This is where someone or anything.
No, it's not, this is where someone listens to this, goes back, and then tells me I was wrong. Just do it the right way, Boston. I got 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Where are my weekends going? Grab It and Leave, and Sweetest Summer Children.
I have Don't You Quote Dune to Me. I've had enough of Dark Souls Castles. Those Skulls Put in the Work, and Who Joker's the Joker.
Do it the right way.
Which is?
Joker. The right one is plural last, right?
I thought I said plural both times. I wish I could go back and listen to it while we're doing this, but
hey, if you want to do plural, just do however you feel most comfortable. If you want to do plural, do plural. We already know this is the title.
I can always just fix it in post too. I can just re-record it.
That's true.
That would mean I'd do any pickup
have to do
recordings.
more work.
Yeah, I'm never doing any pickup recordings. Yeah.
When we had technical difficulties while recording Wayward Sons, I literally said, "Hey, we'll get started now, but I'm just going to do a pickup right here, right now, so I don't have to do it at the end."
Just do a snip, you're done.
Yep.
Love it. All right, Who Joker's the Joke? That'll be the title. Let me know when you're ready. God, I'm so tired.
I'm ready. This is dark, but I'm ready.
I love it.
Man.
This would be a time to play Balatro. Get some Balatro reference in there.
I wish, dude.
All right, yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 864 for May 13th. Nope. Balatro theme. Take 2. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 864 for May 13th, 2024. Who Jokers the Jokers?
Want to see a magic trick?
It's obviously Batman.
All right. Thank you very much.
With that reference, I like
As
it.
always, everyone for listening and watching and coming in chat and hanging out with us and chatting. Greatly appreciate it. Be back same time next week. Hope you'll join us. Bye.
Same bat place, same bat time.
That's right. Don't sue us. Don't sue us, please. We're going offline.
That can't be
Bye.
copyrighted.